Here's a car that will go toe-to-toe for raw driving thrills, not to mention acceleration, with some of the most expensive and exciting supercars on the planet. I'm pleased to announce that the 2026 MotorTrend Car of the Year is, Guten Tag boys, the Volkswagen GTI and the Volkswagen Golf R. And this is the third time that the Golf has claimed the Car of the Year title. First time was in 1985 for the GTI. Second time was in 2015 when there was a full range of Golfs, including gas, diesel, electric, and a GTI version. And now we have these two facelifted models, the GTI and the Golf R. What's cool is that these cars are doing exactly what the GTI was doing in 1985, and yet they beat out a very competitive field on our 6 of the year criteria, which are advancement in design, engineering excellence, performance of intended function, safety, efficiency, and value. So let's take a closer look at the GTI and the Golf R and see why the new Golf family is our 2026 MotorTrend Car of the Year. Let's talk about advancement in design, which is kind of a funny concept with the Golf because this is a car that looks both forward as well as back. If you line up this modern facelifted GTI next to any Golf or GTI or Rabbit for the last 50 years, I mean, the cars have the same basic shape because they are doing the same basic thing. And yet this is a thoroughly modern design. This new version of the GTI has a beautiful new front end, very purposeful, very mature, and it's got this light band across the front of the car, which we absolutely love. It looks forward and it looks back. And there's a lot more that we like inside the Golf, so let's have a look. That sensible design extends to the inside. Of course, Volkswagen has almost always done really nice GTI interiors, top-notch materials in here. I really like the stitching on the steering wheel, these heavily bolstered seats, and those are important because you need them to hold you in place when you drive the car the way it is meant to be driven. And of course, it's very Germanic, very sensible. All the controls are where you expect to find it. One very big improvement is this new 12.9-inch center screen. Now, one of the things we did not care for about the pre-facelift GTI and Golf R was the small screen that was pretty difficult to use. Volkswagen has improved it. Not only is there more surface area, but they have redone the software. It's much more responsive, things make more sense, and it has a really good ChatGPT enabled voice assistant. So you can say, "Hello, Volkswagen. Turn up the temperature."
Okay, warming the left front side now.
"Hello, Volkswagen. Tell me a joke."
Why does a chicken coop have 2 doors? Because otherwise it would be a sedan.
I didn't say it was a good joke, but an 85 GTI is not going to tell you a joke, good or bad. Overall, just like the exterior, the interior has a design that is sensible, but also easy to live with and enhances the experience of driving the car. That brings us to our next criteria, which is engineering excellence, which is best explained while we drive the car. So, buckle up. Let's talk about engineering excellence. Now, the GTI and the Golf R both ride on the MQB platform, which underpins a lot of cars and has been doing so for a long time. And it amazes us how well Volkswagen does the suspension and the chassis to adapt this platform to those individual needs. And Volkswagen knows how to make a GTI feel like a GTI, and the MQB is just so well suited to purpose and so well tuned. These two cars share a basic engine. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine tuned for 241 horsepower here in the front-wheel drive GTI and 328 horsepower in the all-wheel drive Golf R. And that brings us nicely to performance of intended function. So let's just dial up a little sport mode, shall we, and do a little bit of GTI. Because let me tell you, not one single judge had anything to complain about the way either of these cars drive. GTI does exactly what it's always done. I mean, has there ever been a bad GTI? I don't think so. This one is fast, it's huge fun to drive, it's responsive, it feels like it's tuned right into your synapses. And the Golf R, oh my goodness. The Golf R just takes everything to a hugely higher level. It is a temple to the art of driving fast and having fun. It's got so much grip, it's got so much power, it's so fast, and the best thing is, it is so intuitive. A lot of cars that have paddle shifters, you need to use those paddle shifters. You need to really think ahead of the machinery. No, not in the Golf R. You tell it what you want, you think about what you want, and it just does it. I mean, we have obviously at MotorTrend driven some very, very, very expensive supercars, and I tell you what, for raw thrills, in my book, the Golf R goes toe-to-toe with any of them. It is one of the most exciting rides that you can buy, and for all that it does, a really good bargain too. But here's one of the other things we love about the Golf R and the GTI is they are not one-trick ponies. They're not just performance cars, they're also great family cars. Don't forget that they are based on the Golf, which for decades has been the family car of choice in Europe. Where we bought Camrys or RAV4s, the Europeans bought Golfs. So there's plenty of space for growing kids in the back, plenty of cargo space for a vacation. These are really, really practical vehicles. You're kind of getting two cars in one, a sports car and a family car. Performance of intended function, absolutely. The GTI and the Golf R never fail to thrill us, and they're also practical enough that we never regret having one in our driveway. Let me talk about two criteria that are not as exciting, but very important, and that is safety and efficiency. In terms of safety, both the GTI and the Golf R get Volkswagen's latest safety suite of advanced driver assistance systems, including IQ.Drive, a very nice lane centering system that guides you down the freeway as you keep your hands on the wheel. And we found the system works really well at keeping the car in its lane and going around corners and things like that. Our biggest issue was that the GTI and the Golf R both track so straight that it will often remind you to put your hands on the wheel when they're already there, because of course it doesn't take much input to keep this car going straight down the road. And while it makes us sound a bit like one of those old 1950s ads, power is safety, well, the truth is that the best way to survive an accident is not to have it in the first place. And the agility of these cars and the options it gives you to avoid trouble, rather than just covering your eyes and slamming on the brakes and hoping for the best, well, we think that makes you a safer driver and puts you in a safer situation. Let's also talk about efficiency. Now, fuel economy is not something you'd necessarily associate with sporty cars like these, but look, the GTI is EPA rated for 27 miles per gallon, and the Golf R, which you'd expect to do a lot worse given it has a lot more power and goes a lot faster, only loses 2 miles per gallon. It's EPA rated at 25 miles per gallon. But there's more to efficiency than fuel efficiency. There's also space efficiency. Now, we've mentioned before, we love the GTI and the Golf R because they're such practical family cars. They offer you the space that you'll find in a family-sized SUV, but in a much smaller exterior package. That makes them easy to maneuver, makes them easy to park, means you can fit in one of those narrow little suburban shopping center parking spaces and not worry that the next Kia K4 that comes along is gonna ding your doors. It just makes for a more livable package, and we really admire that. So much of the market has gone to SUVs, but the GTI and the Golf R reminds us that there are still very good family cars that are cars, and the GTI and the Golf R definitely qualify. Finally, let us talk about value. Starting price for the GTI is $33,670. No, that's not cheap, but have you seen what people are paying for SUVs nowadays? And considering the level of performance and the space and the practicality that you get out of the GTI, we think that's a pretty good deal. Considering how many people are optioning or sizing those SUVs up to the low 40s, well, for a little bit over 42, you can have this, the Autobahn, which is the top of the line version of the GTI. Now, the Golf R, obviously quite a bit more expensive, starting just over $48,000. But when you consider how fast it is and how much it can do on a curvy road and how it can really embarrass a lot of six-figure supercars, we think it is a tremendous deal. Oh, no doubt about it. The GTI and the Golf R are brimming with value. So, the Volkswagen Golf family. Third time, MotorTrend Car of the Year. You know, the market may be dominated by SUVs and crossovers, but the GTI and the Golf R, they remind us that you can have it all. A vehicle that is efficient, it gives you great value, has plenty of space for your family, and will put a huge smile on your face. That is what makes these vehicles the MotorTrend Car of the Year for 2026. For more about the GTI and Golf R, or the MotorTrend of the Year awards, or all things automotive, visit us on the web at motortrend.com.